Welcome to Watermark's Church Leadership Podcast, conversation with church leaders for church leaders, and I'm your host, John McGee. Welcome back. Joined in the studio again with my friends Dave and Emma. Welcome, guys. Glad you're here.
John, hey, Emma. Good to be with you.
How's it going?
So I feel like, so it's the fall. We're in Dallas. Things are always the same. It is. Kids are back to school. It's still blazing hot.
Yep.
And Dave, the Rangers are kind of fading in their playoff contention.
Man,
So it's just
tough, isn't it? There we are.
It's just this is.
Hey,
the
at least
fall.
we have the Cowboys to look forward to, right?
Right.
This is
right.
that's where we are. We are here on the timeline
maybe
of Dallas.
the Mavs.
Maybe the Mavs.
Okay. Yes.
Maybe
So,
next year. I don't know.
Yes. Well, those of you with historically good baseball teams, congratulations. We're just still trying to hang on to our one bright moment there. But we're not talking about baseball. We're not talking about heat.
No.
We're going to talk about a leader's online presence.
A different kind of heat.
A different kind of heat, yes. And so here's my fear. Here's what I hope happens here. We're going to jump in, and I would love it. Emma, you're going to lead us out in this, but I'd love for leaders to really, when they're done with this, take a step back and go, hey, what is a next step of faithfulness, including hitting the accelerator on this, or even just kind of tapping the brakes, checking their own heart, thinking about what it would look like to lead their teams. So that's kind of the hope. I think we've got some principles. I don't think we've got definitive hot takes that they must agree with us. But here's my fear. Is that as we get going, I could see myself kind of tanking this whole episode and just talking about the ills of social media. Dave, he might become like unhinged, angry old man, and rather than talking,
Get off my lawn.
rather than talking about the possibilities, we talk about only the dangers. So to head that one off at the pass, I'd love, and we asked Emma to put together an outline for us. We'll get there, but let's just start with before I tank us. Hey, what are some ways you're encouraged by leaders using their online presence? Out there when you kind of scan the horizon, is there anything that right now that's popping to you? It's like that's a really good use of that.
I think for me, John, the thing that I appreciate so much about social media is there's some amazing content that we now have access to that when you and I started ministry a while ago just wasn't available, and now
you had to pay for it.
You had to pay for it,
yeah.
or you had to
Right.
go to a library and research. And now I'm just so encouraged by the amazing content that's out there that just helps me understand ministry better, that helps me relate to Jesus better. So I would say that's a huge, and to think that that's global and even getting into places that otherwise are closed to missionaries in the gospel is an exciting thought for me.
Yeah, it's good. Emma, you encouraged by anything?
Yeah, I'd say that it can be a place where you learn.
Yeah.
Where truth can be shared and taught really well, and you can grow, or you can be encouraged because you're catching a glimpse of what God's doing, to your point, Dave, all over the world.
Yeah. What I really like is leaders who I think are doing something that's very congruent with who they are. There's not two different personas. So a couple examples of that. Jonathan Pokluda does his Friday Q&A, right? And so what people do basically is just text in these like one sentence questions, and he gives 1 or 2 sentence answers, which is very much the way, if you're at lunch with JP, that's how that would go. They're good, they're helpful, they're pithy, a little bit snarky with some scripture, and he's discipling a generation, and it's very, very congruent. You'll see some pastors who just have a very kind of wise take on everything going on in the world. And so something breaks in the world, and they will just hop on and they'll record a short video or write something. And it really, it just feels like a continuation of their leadership. And I love that. I love people who, Dave, you were talking about just kind of shining the spotlight on other people and encouraging other people. There's some people I know that's kind of what they do. They just get online and just talk about how awesome everyone else is. I love that, and I think I just want, in case I undo everything I'm about to say, I'll say that now, like there can be a place for a leader. And there is a place, for you to chime in on things. There's a place for you to disciple your people. And sometimes you can do it timely. The Coldplay, here we are, we're in the fall. And so it was last July, if you guys remember this, took the internet by storm, the Coldplay Kiss Cam concert. And so if you're not familiar with that, God bless you. I wish I were you. It was such a thing. So this couple who's not married gets put on the kiss cam at a Coldplay concert. The world just loses its mind. And all it was memes, people kind of rejoicing in evil. They're going to get theirs. And I was so discouraged and disappointed there. And I thought about a couple different times, like, chiming in and saying, my goodness, Jesus was pretty clear. If you looked lustfully at another woman, you've committed adultery in your heart. Okay, so everyone with a stone right now, or this is how we treat people when they're caught in sin. We pray for them. We hope that they are restored. Let's pray for their family. There's kids involved here. We're not making memes, And so I almost did. I didn't, but I think that would be an appropriate, first response. That I felt like 3 days later, once there were no more memes to be made, then some of the more pastoral things came out. But that would be a great example for a pastor to jump in. So lots of possibilities, lots of really good things, regardless of what comes out of my mouth after hearing about all the warnings. I'm just on a little bit of a
disclaimer.
I'm on just a bit of a tirade about the brokenness of leaders and how they use their platforms, and they want respect and they want likes, and that's not good and healthy. So, but Emma, maybe you can redeem some of this here. So we asked Emma to put together an outline, and not because you are young and have an online platform, Emma, but because you're a leader and you've thought about this. You've been really, really, really thoughtful. So I think you're going to be able to help us kind of anchor some of our thoughts here, challenge us a little bit, give us some good questions. So thank you.
Thank you.
And any kind of preamble, or you just want to jump into it?
Let's just jump in.
Okay,
I think the first thing a leader has to decide is just, am I going to use social media? And if so, why? Because you don't have to. It's not a necessary in ministry, and it's polarizing. So my first point is to take your opportunities to the Lord and settle your convictions with Him. Yeah. So in my spirit, am I sensing that I'm walking in obedience or disobedience by being on social media? And when people find out that I'm active on social media, the response is incredibly polarizing. So some people hear that, they hear I have a platform. In the grand scheme of things, it's very small, but they hear
bigger,
that.
Dave. So to set the context, Emma is, you're thoughtful. This is something you spend time and energy on. I would say is to help people really. If you look at Emma's feed, it would be very instructive, helping people really understand kind of Scripture. And there's a purpose to it. It's not just you taking pictures of yourself, right?
Yeah.
Dave and I, our wives follow us, and we post pictures of our kids on our birthdays. So on their birthdays, sorry. So we've got two different experiences around social media here. So, but yeah, you have spent some time, you spent some energy. This is something that you are on an ongoing basis are investing in. So that is your context, and people have different takes.
So some people hear that, and it builds credibility. They're interested in me because of that. It may be that they want to get something from me. It may be that they just think, oh, she knows what she's talking about, I should listen. It may just be that they think it's cool. Yeah. On the flip side, for others, it's discrediting. Yeah. It's like, oh, you're into social media, red flag. I'm gonna doubt what Emma's doing, how Emma's following Jesus, whatever.
Yeah.
And I had to come to a place where I realized people are going to have opinions. They're going to disagree. What do I think God is calling me to do? Mm-hmm. And so some guiding principles, questions I asked when I made that initial decision to start using social media more intentionally. The first one was, who am I doing this for? Galatians 1:10. For am I now seeking the approval of man or of God? Or am I still trying to please man? If I were still trying to please man, I would not be a servant of Christ. Mm-hmm. And that's a question I had to ask initially. Who am I doing this for? But then every day.
It's good.
Why am I continuing to post? Why am I pausing posting for a little bit? The next would be, does God want me to do this? Proverbs 14:12. There is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way to death. And then lastly, will this serve the people I'm leading, glorify God, and build up the church? Yeah. 1 Corinthians 10:23 through 24 and 31. All things are lawful, but not all things are helpful. All things are lawful, but not all things build up. Let no one seek his own good, but the good of his neighbor. So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. And when I answered those questions, I looked at my peers and just thought, oh my goodness, they need some help studying the Bible. I just went through this seminary training program and had a mentor who was encouraging me to share what I was learning.
Yeah.
And A plus B equaled C for me, being social media, but that's not the case. That's not the case for everyone.
Yes.
So there's, if I can keep going for a second.
You're doing great. Thank you.
There's also this reality that it is a dangerous place. There's lots of temptation, be it just pride. How many likes can I get? Are people watching this video? Be it sexual temptation, be it comparison. I know that's a huge thing for girls especially. And I started to really think about social media like I think about overseas missions. They're not the same by any means, to be clear.
What a lead in. Okay, here we go.
But I bring up that comparison because overseas missions comes with inherent dangers depending on where I'm going. So if I'm going to go to a place where I know Christians are persecuted and sometimes killed, I'm making the choice to live out my faith in that context. Similarly, if I'm going to choose as a leader to use social media to teach people about Jesus, talk about what God's doing, put my life on display, I'm signing up for those dangers. And not everyone is called to go be Jim Elliott and get killed by a tribe. Not everyone is called to spend an hour a day on social media. That can be really dangerous. And so it's really good to acknowledge, is this the most helpful or best use of my time?
I love it. Go.
Emma,
Dave.
what I was going to say, what I like about that analogy is what I learned is it really is an all-in endeavor. You can't dabble in social media, especially doing what you do. It takes discipline and daily time. And what I began to run up against when I was more involved in it was just the responsiveness you need to have when people DM you, when things happen. Like there's a sense of, if you're going to present yourself as a spiritual leader online, there's an expectation of responsiveness that's
Good.
really tough. And so, I've learned, hey, this is not something I can dabble in. And that's probably why I stepped away as best I could, because it just isn't, it's an all-in endeavor. It takes a lot of time and energy and effort. It never stops. It goes on while you sleep, and it's not easy.
Yeah. So like consider the cost, and that's really, really good, Dave. Yeah. I hadn't thought about that before. You just said it. There is an expectation that's very different. If someone preaches a sermon to a big giant room, not everyone expects to be able to just walk up to you and ask you, truckloads of questions afterwards. But yeah, if you're putting yourself out there on social media, there probably is much more of an expectation. They're going to get back to them on their questions. That's really, really good. I think if I have one point this whole podcast, it would be where you started just now, Emma. Like, you don't have to have an online presence.
You don't.
And by that, I don't mean that you don't have to be active. I mean, you do not have to have Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter,
or TikTok,
LinkedIn, TikTok, to be a good leader. You do. Let me say it again. You do not have to have any of those things. And it becomes really, really hard when you look to your left and to your right, and everyone else is talking about your brand and your platform and things like that. And you kind of go, well, maybe that's what I have to do to keep up, to be effective. I perceive them as effective. And I just say, you just don't, and if Paul was here at the table, he might quote, 1 Thess 4:11 at us. It's like, hey man, lead a quiet life, work with your hands. If he wrote it today, it's like, stay off social media. Like, that is absolutely a good path for some people. Now, it can be a dark place, and we need some missionaries. We really do, Emma. And so I think that's good. And then I would just say, if I had a second point, it would be when if you don't have to commit full send on this, but if you're going to spend some
become
time,
an influencer.
Yeah, right. Buy a bunch of photo and video equipment in a studio. Like you can write your thoughts. Some of you don't want to write a book, but you have some really good thoughts to share, and you can take a picture of whatever, a field, a flower, your cat, I don't care, and then write some thoughts down. That would be a great use. But you're going to now spend more time online, and you have got to ask, is this good for my soul? And if a leader's primary job is to lead themselves before they lead others, you're going to have to consider the cost on this. And unless you guys are built different than me, I don't spend, an hour on social media and leave encouraged, content, more more yielded to the Spirit generally. And so you're going to wade in some waters that are dangerous. And one of the easiest ways just to stay out of them is just to make sure that you're not posting. So there you go. That was some of the angry old man that I was afraid was going to come out. But I don't say that. I say that as someone who sees the opportunity, but is also just really, really tired of watching people, waste the opportunity that's in front of them, chasing something else, and then 2, just doing unnecessary damage to their own souls. By choice, and they don't have to do that. So there we go. Okay. Second point, Emma.
Yeah. So let's say you say yes. For whatever reason, I feel good about using social media. Then we have to remember we're leading through every single click, not just what we post. So don't forget people are watching.
That is wise.
Instagram has this new feature. It's new-ish. I don't know that it's necessarily new anymore. But if you go to the Reels tab and you start swiping through watching videos, you're going to see videos that the people you follow have liked. Yep. In the bottom left-hand corner, it might show a little picture of their profile pic. It might say their handle, their username. But more and more...
Well, okay, just got to put a comment there. Why would they do that? Why would Zuckerberg
Well, the idea
that?
would be like-minded people like the same amount of content, and they want you to spend, or the same type of content, and they want you to spend more time.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. Mark Zuckerberg does not really care that you know what your friend's doing. He wants you to spend more time.
Totally.
You are the product. Okay, great.
Totally.
Keep going. Yep.
But what's interesting is you get these videos, and then you're watching it, and then you realize, oh, my friend liked this video. And then I keep watching it, and an explicit language comes up. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm surprised that this person liked this video. Well, sometimes what happens is you just don't watch the video all the way through. So you like something, and then you move on to the next video. You may not have known that video became inappropriate, but now publicly, you've affirmed whatever was going on in that full video.
Emma said this is a good watch. I trust Emma.
So I've just realized, like, man, as I'm using social media, not to post, but just as a consumer, people are still watching.
Yeah.
It's public.
Yes.
Philippians 4:8. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, pure, lovely, commendable, if there is any excellence, anything worthy of praise, think about these things. So are the videos I'm watching or I'm liking something Paul would find commendable?
Yeah.
Like, do they evidence my faith, or are they incredibly worldly? Yeah. And am I being wise? I may not know what I'm liking, but people are watching.
What's interesting about that, Emma, is I have actually lost one friendship over this matter.
Wow.
I had a friend who, mutual friends, one friend posted something that was very good and innocuous, just simply, people in the pulpit should have integrity and, be biblically qualified as elders. And I thought, that's true. I liked it. Well, my mutual friend felt like that was a shot at him for not having those things. And so they just disappeared from our lives. And It took about 3 years for another set of friends to say, hey, these people have a problem with you and your wife because you like something online that they perceived was a stab at them. And so it's just amazing how this all plays out. Now that's old school Facebook days. That's
sure.
Just, and you do like things or you cite news stories and later you realize, fake news or something like that. So
totally.
It is risky. It is really a risky proposition.
Yeah, but that one is on them though. That's a Proverbs 28:11, right?
Yeah.
The wicked flee when they're not pursued. Like, how is that a shot across the bow unless there's something? But point made. Hey, what you like, what you do, what you say, the comments that are made.
Yeah, we recently, John, talked about this. There's a podcast, or not a podcast, excuse me, a post about the Young Leaders cohort. And one of my friends had commented on it, being like, hey, we got to get the ladies in. And I'm just thinking, oh, it's my friend. Like, I'm chatting with my friend. So I commented jokingly, I was initially going to do this, but not enough ladies signed up, so they kicked me out, or I got kicked out, or something to that effect. And in the moment, I'm talking with a friend who knows and loves John. I know John. We're friends. Like, it didn't feel like a controversial thing to say, but people are watching me.
Yeah.
And that little comment could be interpreted in a very negative way, in a very aggressive way towards John and his team. And John and I had a little chat that was just like, hey, remember when you said this? We went ahead and deleted that. Here's why. And I was like, Yeah, you should have deleted it. Like, I'm so glad you said something because people are watching.
Emma, I think that you're very well.
Thank you, Emma.
You're very well educated in all this. I think the hardest thing for young leaders, especially that are on staff with a church, to understand is there's never a moment you get to take that staff hat. So everything you say online,
you get to take it off.
You get to take it off. So everything you say online can be perceived as the official opinion of the church and their stance. And so that's a really hard lesson to learn, is all of a sudden your opinions are not your own anymore, no matter how you would like to think of yourself, whatever they are. And oftentimes, hey, if you like a good, if you like a good brisket taco, that's wonderful. But if you make a loud statement on a controversial issue, people that are in the church don't distinguish between your personal opinion and the position of the church. So you got to be so careful with that.
Yeah, it's good. Dave, any other thoughts just about, some of our listeners, they have teams, they have staffs. Age is not relevant, but words, thoughts, wisdom for leaders as they lead kind of their teams around this topic and having the conversations and helping disciple them. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, somebody has to be responsible for monitoring it. I know that sounds almost like Big Brother, but I do think it's an area of accountability. And so I think it helps to have somebody just say, hey, I'm going to be the person who's responsible for monitoring. Obviously, if you're the senior leader and you have other responsibilities and things, it's hard, but there needs to be accountability, and there needs to be a sense of that. Again, not in a heavy-handed, domineering way, but hey, let's learn together in what we're doing. And so I think it's important that, number one, there's agreed-upon ground rules. Here's what we commit to doing and not doing together on social media, but we're watching each other because, again, Emma's example is a great example. Something she did that was entirely innocent, was well-intended, could be perceived in another way, and you don't know what you don't know until somebody else points it out. So, I think you have a self-appointed, hey, who's the person on the team that's going to kind of watch this for us all? And again, we're going to be accountable to each other. We're going to make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah, that's right.
We just don't want to make the same mistake twice.
That's right. That's right. And some of the things, remind me some of the different things that we've talked about around here with our staff. It's been a minute, but we definitely have addressed this in our staff meetings.
Well, with ladies, it's modesty, which should be the standard all the time, not just in the pictures you post. And is. We've talked about that as a staff. Alcohol.
And guys. I mean,
and guys too.
Sure,
yeah.
Yep.
Swimsuit pics.
Yeah.
Guys or girls. Probably
Dave.
not.
Yeah, you'll never see
put a beach towel on it, buddy.
Come
on.
You'll never see me without a shirt on.
You're killing us.
Anywhere, so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What else?
Alcohol.
Emma? Yeah.
Different convictions across different churches, but we've talked about if your staff is allowed to consume alcohol, posting about it isn't helpful. Don't do that.
Well, yeah. So it's just that, especially where it feels like it's the centerpiece, And so we had. I remember there was a couple instances where there was pictures that were posted, and the person actually that was on staff wasn't even drinking, but, and I think maybe even, I can't remember if they posted it or someone else posted it, but there was, on the table, it was like, man, these people are, kind of going for it. And I remember having that conversation. Like, that's confusing. Like, I think there's a principle, if you would need to explain it, like, just, if you need some kind of disclaimer, just don't post it, and that across, who you're with, where you are, what you're doing, it may be completely fine. And if you want to explain it, great, but if you need to, if you don't, you probably shouldn't post it, I think, because of the reputation of the church, and in a way that's just different than maybe secular, context where someone's offline and online presence really aren't the same. You are the same. When you post something, you like something, you get into a fight, Dave, you didn't say it this way, but, earlier we were talking, it's like almost you speak on behalf of the church.
Yeah. I think you do. I think if you're a leader in the church, and I love what Emma read to us earlier from 1 Corinthians 10, that phrase of, but the good of his neighbor. So even when you're talking about alcohol pictures, I've seen times where people will recommend music or movies that you're like, oh, that not everybody's going to have the freedom of conscience to watch that film or to listen to that album. And so I just think you got to be really careful in that realm.
I even think about, out at a dinner with girlfriends, there may be non-believing women there. And if I'm going to post a picture of that group, what are the other people wearing in that photo? And could that cause my brother to stumble? It may not be me, but there's people watching my life. I still want to hang out with those people. That's what Jesus would have done, but I don't need to advertise it.
Yeah. Yeah. See, don't get me going.
Yeah.
Some
Feels like you're
pastors,
being restrained in
some
ways,
leaders,
John.
they post, so I'll pick on the guys, and they post pictures with their wives or of their wives. I just go, how is that a good idea? I just don't understand. I'll stay in my lane, but be wise. And you are discipling. You are never not discipling. You are never not leading. You are never not saying something, even if you don't say something. So, really good, friend. What else you got?
Yeah, in that same vein, be wise. Don't do it alone. Wisdom principles still apply. Proverbs 11:14, where there is no guidance, a people fail, but in an abundance of counselors, there is safety. So when I made that choice to use social media intentionally and said, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to go all in, I brought people around me. Now, I definitely didn't do it perfectly. I mean, there's been moments like we just talked about where I've messed up.
So small, yeah.
But I said, I know that I'm an imperfect person. And I struggle with temptation just like everybody else. So I said, okay, I know my ditch is going to be, if I'm making a video that's requiring a lot of my time, I'm going to want it to do well. I'm going to want to see that it's getting a lot of views. I'm going to want to see that it's getting a lot of likes. And that's not helping my heart love Jesus more. That's puffing up my pride. So I had these people around me like, hey, Katie, would you mind running my account for these 2 weeks? I'll give you the password. And some people hear that and they think, oh, you're fake. Like it's not really you. It's like your assistant. No, just one of my friends.
That does happen.
Yeah.
I assumed you use AI. I didn't even know. That's actually you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she'd send me let's say someone commented a more pastoral question. Yeah. She'd just send me a screenshot of the question and I'd type out a reply and she'd copy paste and reply as me. Yeah. But I'd removed the temptation to be incessantly checking how are my posts performing. And I'll do that periodically.
That's good.
And Christian friends, my friends who follow Jesus, they desire to help me walk in obedience. Yes, in taking the step to engage with others on social media, but also walk in obedience as I guard my heart.
That's good. That's good. Know thyself. Whatever it is, guard your own heart in your own ways, whatever that would, and each of us kind of know. I think we know. I think we probably know when we're going too far, when we care too much, when any of that kind of stuff. So I think we listen to that still small voice. Have you ever had to take something down, issue a retraction, something that was not true, not helpful? Yeah.
I did
How'd you
a
handle that?
teaching on Joshua, and I had wrongly taught that Joshua was likely much younger than he was when he entered the promised land. And it was a clip from a sermon that I gave at a youth camp or a teaching. Yeah. And the video was great. It got a ton of views. It was one of my best pieces of content. It was fun. I was like, wow, this is I feel like I leveled up in my teaching. This is great. And then this person commented, not meanly, just very directly, like, go read this scripture. Joshua was actually probably 40 years old, not a teenager. And I went and read it, and I was like,
good.
Oh yeah, I did not present this correctly, and decided I have to take this down. This is actually false teaching, not on central doctrine, but it still was misleading, and ended up messaging the guy and saying like, hey, thanks so much. And then messaging the camp that I taught this at. Well, hey guys, I mistaught. This was incorrect.
Well done.
And it was, thank you. It was a minor thing. And it was also scary to realize, oh man, 70,000 people watched this video. That's wrong. Yep. And on one hand, I could look at that and think, oh my gosh, I can never post a video again, because how scary is that? But I can also remind myself, hey, his mercies are new every morning.
Yeah, sure.
Don't brush it under the rug. Acknowledge it. Move on.
Any type of communication, unless it's thought and planned out, like, months in advance, you are going to have some margin of error, and just own it. So well done, friend. I mean, I'd be a way to be an example. If you're 50 and you are in, you're kind of spending some energy here, let Emma be an example to you to own it when you miss it. Retract something that You said I'd always, you don't want to jump on. This is one thing I wanted to talk about. Make sure you don't jump on like fights when you don't have all the facts. Probably just don't even jump on the fights anyway. There was a pastor. The post was fine. It was a little edgy. Then there was the troll. Here come the trolls.
Sure.
And they all jumped in this long trolling comment, and the pastor replied back. He goes, "Well, you seem like fun," And I thought, so I laughed out loud. I was like, "That's funny." And then I thought, you know what? I don't know that that's wholesome or building up. I think you're teaching your people how to fight, and just kind of have pithy comebacks, which gets likes and gets views. This whole like, guys sparring online, right? They put up an opponent intellectually, and they spar. That is getting tons and tons of views and clicks right now, and I just don't like some of the posture. I think you can be firm. I think you can be winsome, bold, but you don't have to be unkind, and you don't have to tear people down. But tearing people down right now actually gets views, gets clicks, and if that's happening and people are telling you that, you need to listen. You need to listen. And if you push something that's false, and another one is like recommending books, which I actually think is a great use for pastors, or leaders here. You've curated some books. Curation is a gift to give other people. So here's my top 3 reads on X. I find that very, very helpful and think, but if you put something on there that's not good and helpful upon further reflection, or you read it 20 years ago and you forgot, like, own it, and say it, because it's that like on that video with the profanity,
Yes.
People are listening. So really, really good, Emma. Okay. Anything else? You got any other points?
Yeah. Last thought, leaders should hold social media loosely, I think.
That's good.
So Ecclesiastes 3, there's a time for everything. I've been doing this now for about 5 years, social media with intentional ministry purposes. And I've found that my conviction today may be different than my conviction yesterday, and it may be different than my conviction 3 years ago.
Good.
And I've had seasons where I've just looked at the commitments on my plate and decided, with the Lord in community, now's not the time for me to be going all in on social media, posting every day.
Yeah.
I don't have the margin or capacity to do this without burning myself out. And then vice versa. There are times where I've really felt compelled by the Lord and by community, encouraged to share specific things. And I've recognized, hey, social media is a machine. And when you feed the machine, it grows. So if you're posting every day, if you're being consistent, it's a math. Like, the numbers will likely grow and add up. Mm-hmm. But that's not me being spirit-led. That's me being driven by people-pleasing and by performance and achievement. When I take the opportunities to the Lord, I have to discern, is this the season for me to be going all in? Should I keep going and constantly reevaluate?
That's good. Really, really good.
I think one of the thoughts I have as you say that, I know God calls, I think, a small amount of people, a smaller percentage of people, that this is their ministry.
Sure.
Be online and be a content creator and do that. And that's wonderful. I absolutely benefit from folks who do that. I think for a lot of the people that are probably listening today, John, there's some deception in social media relationally. If you are in a local context, do life on life with your people. That's so important. The face-to-face. I had somebody once tell me the most important opportunity I ever have in ministry is the ministry of presence. It's where the Holy Spirit is working through my personality to care and serve for others. So I've seen people who, have a lot of followers, interact a lot online, have very superficial relationships that really aren't transformative at all. So steward your time well and steward your energy well, and don't mistake social media relationships as true, deep, authentic, Christ-honoring, transformative relationships, because most often they're not.
Mm-hmm. I'd also say, in that same vein, for the everyday person who's not a platform social media type individual, feelings of exclusion often come from social media. Mm-hmm. And I've talked to several individuals who've seen a church staff member post a photo with other members and then felt saddened because they've never been invited to hang out with that church staff member or spend time together. And so that publicity can also have unintended consequences in a small community context, not a broader leading the masses kind of thing.
Such a good point.
Yes. Yeah. And you can just, You can Dave, I love that. You can just be friends with someone, right? And if they have a lot, especially, we'll all know some people who've written some books and they've got a bunch of followers and stuff like that. And so, will the thought ever cross your mind? Hey, I could take a picture of them, tag them, I might pick up some followers. Yeah, that's probably kind of, cross your mind. And, I've just been lately just like, I don't even know who the most famous Christian person is, but if I met him, it's like, I'll tell you too, but I'm not going to put it online. I'm just not going to
I'm not going to name drop.
Yeah, and just any of that, because we're just all prone to the human condition is such that we'll figure out anything, any tool to make ourselves look better, be more liked, be more respected. Our hearts are wicked in that way, and this is right now. This is one of the chief accelerants of that. And so, be wise. It is, Emma. I love it. You can be a missionary. It's a dark place. We need some people who are doing, good things. If you're a pastor, if you're a leader or something, this can be a way to shepherd your people. And then, man, you're swimming through, like crocodile-infested waters. Like, this is dangerous stuff. So do the math. Consider the cost, as Dave said. And then if you feel a calling, or you just pop in and pop out, that's great. And you don't have to apologize for that. But be wise. And I just want you to know, like, again, you don't have to have an online presence. You don't, to be a great leader, to help people, to be faithful.
I think, John, that's the advantage you and I have as the grumpier old men on this panel is we can remember a time when there wasn't social media and we were deeply involved in ministry. And as we look back on that, it wasn't less than. It almost feels like it was more than what we have today. And so
thank you.
I think we need to be really careful with that. I think time will tell, but I think we're going to see how people were really hurt through social media and using it as a substitute for real authentic relationship with other believers is what I mean in that realm. There's so many advantages to it, but yeah, absolutely to your point, you don't have to have social media to be effective in ministry. There are older people who lived at a time before it existed who look back and think it wasn't necessarily worse back then.
Gosh. So. Well, and their ability to hold a thought, like we understand algorithms. This is, I knew this kind of stuff was coming, right? So we understand algorithms. We understand pithy phrases. We understand camera filters. We're losing the ability to think.
Yes, think critically.
Think well, yes. And we are devolving in that,
And I think there's just been a loss of being charitable. I just think that's gone. You can be somebody different online.
Used to Marcus.
And I know you suffer from that a lot, Emma, in the platform you have. People will say anything that they would never say to your face.
Oh, totally.
And yet, gosh, like you said, there's a mission field opportunity here. Yeah. And again, it's not all bad. There's a real opportunity here. And Emma, I'm thankful that you're stepping into that space. And I know it comes at a cost. And I'm grateful you're leading that way.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah. Emma, we'll give you last words. Thank you, for your thoughts here. Thank you for your ministry, and I continue. I'm rooting for you. We're rooting for you, and I'm glad you're there. It's not my calling. It's not my lane. It feels exhausting. It feels exhausting to me, but I'm glad you're there. So any last words, last thoughts?
Yeah, last thoughts. Let everything you do be done in love.
Good.
So good.
As you think about how other people use social media, as you talk about how other people use social media, as you use it yourself and engage with people online, are you being loving?
I love it. Hey, if you're ever looking for a headline,
there you go.
Whatever you do, let it be done in love. You'll never go wrong if that's true north. So, guys, thanks so much. Friends, thank you for listening. As always, if there's ways we can serve you, if you have ideas for future topics, things that would be helpful to kind of work through here, we would love to know. You can always reach us at clp@watermark.org. That's clp@watermark.org. We'll talk to you again next time.